They can buy your name, your address, and even your income and call it public info and then set your prices based on that. This is part 2 of surveillance pricing. It says, in practice, surveillance pricing can harness customer-specific and non-customer-specific data to determine the ultimate price the consumer is willing to pay. With surveillance pricing, the products shown or prices displayed differ for each consumer depending on where that consumer is, what time it is, who the consumer is, what the consumer is doing, the prior actions a consumer has taken, and or interactions with the seller. For example, Target charged $100 more for a TV on its app when the consumer was in the vicinity of a Target store versus further away. Target had determined consumers are willing to pay more the closer they were to the store. Orbitz inferred that Mac users were willing to spend more on booking hotels, steering them to more expensive options than non-Mac users. Booking sites also charge higher prices for the same hotel rooms based on what city the consumer was browsing the website from, leading to a difference of more than $500 for the same room in one case. Surveillance pricing can allow retailers to take advantage of individual consumers' willingness to pay more while keeping individual consumers in the dark about lower prices offered to other consumers. This kind of pricing used by Kroger can be seen in multiple industries. Delta has recently been testing AI-driven fare pricing across more routes. They say it's not based on your personal data, but it's not just about what they say, it's about what they can do. So as Delta has said, it is not using AI to set different prices for different individuals based on their personal data. Instead, the airline says AI is being used to improve existing dynamic pricing practices that are already used across the industry. Even rent isn't safe. RealPage is under DOJ investigation accused of using algorithms to recommend rent hikes across millions of homes. It says now a software company called RealPage is being sued by the Department of Justice for using an algorithm that suggests rent prices to corporate landlords. The DOJ argues that its algorithm has driven rents higher and constitutes an illegal information sharing scheme. That is, competitors, the landlords who would otherwise be acting independently have exchanged non-public, competitively sensitive data to the detriment of renters who don't have access to such knowledge. All right, so RealPage, this is directly from their privacy policy. It says, RealPage may provide personal information to third parties for business purposes under limited circumstances, including service providers and vendors that support or integrate with the RealPage services described in the policy. Now, it goes on to say that they only collect identifiable information for business purposes to provide certain services. But if you go down here in the privacy policy and you notice the section that says personal information exceptions, personal information does not include publicly available information. And there's some other things like de-identified and aggregated consumer information. Okay, so publicly available information. What is that? That's information from data brokers. What information does data brokers have? Pretty much everything. So they can go online and buy publicly available information such as your tax records, your real